Hey guys, this is Reggie. I'm back again for another quicker stream. I appreciate the few that actually dropped in from last night's Thanksgiving stream. It was kind of a last minute thing. I actually didn't plan on wasn't sure if I wanted to do it or not. But I figured since I had time, I figured I'd go and do it that last night since I wasn't sure I'd have enough time to do it this night. So I figured I'd do a little bit quicker stream today, so this will not be as long as last night's one. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. So for those of you who were here last night, y'all might remember the jazz group I drew. It was called Punk Jazz. So kind of what inspired me to do this was that I listen to a lot of different jazz, but probably the most out there ones I tend to listen to was punk jazz. So it's really kind of a mixture of like, of course, it seems pretty self-explanatory. So basically, like you have jazz musicians that actually play with very like punk, like raw aesthetic. A few groups that probably come to mind is that please flip artists like John Zorn. He's pretty big in the genre because he had Naked City, Electric Masada, Painkiller. Those are just a few of the bands he's done. That Bill Laswell, he has groups like Last Exit, Massacre. And there's a lot of like different ones out there, but it is kind of a niche thing, so I'm pretty sure people don't really know about that much. But I appreciate all you that actually dropped in for that. So, what I figure I will do today, like since tonight's going to be a very, very short stream, it's going to be fairly quick. I figure what I'll do is actually do a kind of a brief, somewhat, like, Thanksgiving themed, picture. And I figure what I'll do is I'll probably draw a picture of this bear from a certain Tex Avery cartoon. So let me just start with a very light sketch. And this particular bear is actually one that appeared in the this very old Tex Avery cartoon called Jerky Turkey. So it's basically this one where this pilgrim's trying to catch this turkey, for Thanksgiving dinner. And one of the things, and kind of this is a bit of a spoiler here, and one of the running gadgets as he's chasing him, as they're trying to like outwit each other, there's this bear that keeps coming around that says "Eat at Joe's." And initially, they keep ignoring it, but after a while, like, he keeps reappearing to the point where they just don't ignore it. And finally, they actually, do decide to actually, fall up on this bear and actually go eat at Joe's. And you'll see, what this bear's been talking about this whole cartoon. And then also, the twist is that they go in his cabin, we find the bear actually is Joe, and he actually ends up eating the both of them. So yeah, a little dark, but pretty funny, twist in his story. But that was like Tex Avery's thing. Like, he really was a master when it came to twist endings. And so I figure I'll kind of draw in this type of cutaway with them inside. Let me just get the little slender pear shape. Because that's the thing about old school cartoons, especially for Tex Avery's ones. They all have very organic, very, very loose shapes. And I've heard someone say, with Tex Avery stuff, the way his character design almost say like balloon animals in a way, because they're very curvy and very bulbous. Yeah, I can definitely see that with that old observation. And I hope you guys have had a great week Had a great week so far. Hope you got a great holiday season. Even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, hope you guys just had a great day anyway. Give me just one moment. Yeah, yesterday was pretty busy, but it was really fun. Got a chance to spend a lot of quality time with family. Had a few folks that came in town. One, my older sister, she brought in her baby boy who's about 10 months old now. And so we got a chance to actually spend time, with her. In fact, they're gonna be here until I think Monday of this upcoming week. So I'll get a chance to spend a little more time with them. Let me go and get there. Let me see if I can get these hands here, because I am kind of working loosely from a few references here. Yeah, you scruff this here and there. And make the mouth just a bit bigger. Give me just one moment. This is why I always start light, so at least I can start fine-tuning as I go further along. Let me see. We kind of make this hedge a little bit more slender. Add these little floppy ears. You can see, even though I'm adding all those extra details, I'm keeping the like all the shapes are very similar, because you got these pears, you got these circles, he's got these very like almost noodle-like arms here. So I know one book that was really influential in helping kind of like study old cards. It was Preston Blair's animation book. I recommend like anyone who's interested in cartoon, like no matter what style you're in, I definitely recommend like checking that out and actually reading that book, because it really does kind of help enforce the idea when it comes to cartoon as far as breaking down and throwing things in simple shapes and knowing how to really stylize and build upon them. Because what you want to do is, like when you're drawing, is make sure you have a good construction, as when you're actually drawing characters. Draw his little feet here. Trying to see which arm do I want to use for here. Let me see if I can get these. Let me see how I'm going to do these hands. I have this one pinky out here. Got the toothpick. And if I have time, I might do another quick sketch aside from this one, but see how things go. as the night goes on. I don't know if you can probably hear a little ambient music in the background. I want to play something that's not too loud. Since it's that late at night, they won't be too busy. Let me see. Let me check on something for a moment. Yeah, this one's running out of ink. Give me just a moment. I think the original cartoon came out in 1945. And MGM during that period, it was kind of doing really well during that period because, Tex Avery making his cartoons, but also at the same time, Tom and Jerry, they were doing their cartoons at MGM as well. And what's funny that it's funny though, speaking of Tex and Tom and Jerry a lot, there are some people that actually can think that Tex actually directed Tom and Jerry's cartoons, mainly because they had that same type of humor and timing. And while Tex Avery stuff, while he did work at MGM, he really didn't. He never actually worked on a single Tom and Jerry cartoon. Now I think the closest I think he had any direct involvement is that two of his animators that worked under him, Michael Law and Irvin Spence, they actually worked on Tom and Jerry cartoons, and I believe they can a lot of sensibilities they picked up through Tex Avery's work. It ended up bleeding into work for Tom and Jerry. Let me get enough room just for his arm here. I had to go to work earlier today. I tend to work at a grocery store. And now, of course, since now Thanksgiving, now everyone's breaking out the Christmas music. And I know it tends to vary with different grocery stores I've been in. I've been in some grocery stores where they only play maybe the same 20 songs over and over again. Sometimes they'll play a little mix. I know the store I work at, they tend to play a mixture of both. I think of both old and new stuff, but they tend to mix regular non Christmas related stuff. Even for our pilgrim guy here, he's got very simple shapes, very gourd like body, circular shape, big nose. Pretty soon I have to start figuring out what my not only figure out what crystal is, but I have to figure out what I'm gonna get from my relatives too. Hey, animator! Glad you dropped in. Glad to see you here. Yeah, I was wondering, I'm sorry I started a little later, and I ended up getting off work a little later than I expected. But I'm glad you dropped in. But in case you're wearing But if you didn't come a few minutes early, just kind of brief recap. This is that was kind of drawing the ending to that Tex Avery cartoon on Jerky Turkey, and this kind of finale to that running gag that was throughout that tune. Probably and while this was pretty good, I think probably my personal favorite Tex Avery would have to be Bad Luck Blackie, and that one's kind of one where it's it's this white little kid who was having trouble with his bulldog, and his he's bullying him, so he ends up meeting with this black alley cat. And of course, the whole thing, black cats are bad luck, so what he does is every time he crosses the bulldog's path, he would, that would get him bad luck, think something would fall on him, someone would actually knock him out. And it's cool because it's a very simple premise, but it keeps escalating as it goes along. Timing's great, the gags are pretty funny, and fun fact for those who are into rockabilly, those who remember Stray Cats, in that particular music video for a song, they actually show clips from that cartoon and actually put it like in the music video. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Alright, so let's kind of start fine-tuning just a bit more. So now that I got everything I need. So now that I got everything looking good, now I can start going in, go a little harder with some of my line work. In fact, actually, no, I can use a black pen now. Exactly what I'll do. And don't worry, we are coloring this in, by the way. So yeah, this will be in color. Let me kind of get his little slender body. Also, first, let me kind of get let me make sure the cutaway, make sure that's more defined. This thing's kind of running. I think I might have to change it out. Well, I'll see. I'll see how it holds up as I'm working with this. Oh yeah, in case you didn't see it earlier, I did the punk jazz picture I did last night. So I think after I finished the stream, I did add a few extra details to it. I kind of add some colors with a few like spots where there wasn't much color, so I did some little touch-ups here and there after the stream was finished. So I did finish that. I think some of you might have already seen the YouTube short I had posted of it not too long ago. And you know, in that one, in case there was one where that music was, that was Ujaku by John Zorn. It was really by him with his group Naked City, and they had that punk jazz sound. And what was really wild is that like they had, because it was like 6 guys. It was John Zorn on alto saxophone, Bill Frisell on guitar, Fred Furr, who normally plays guitar because he had played guitar in a group called Henry Cow. He played bass. Joey Barron plays drums. I think Wayne Horvitz, he played keyboard. And the big wild card was this Japanese person, Yamatuka. Forgive me, I'm probably mispronouncing his name wrong. Yamatsuka Ai. And in some places he goes I for short, and he was more known for like a noise or called the boredoms. And it was neat was that like in some of the tracks they have like these really short like grindcore tracks where a lot of them are no longer than like 30 seconds, where they're just like really loud, like, aggressive blast beat sounds, and Yamasuka is just kind of like gargling, screaming like a Tasmanian devil. And the thing is, like, they all go by so quick, so by the time like some people might get like annoyed with them, like they're already over. And that track I used, that was actually just one of those type of tracks. But Barry Yamato does a lot of his stuff, it's kind of like that, where it's often like very, very loud, very aggressive. Especially when if the one of his older was the Border, because Border was more like a noise rock, like punk rock group, very like hardcore, very psychedelic. Now I think later years, as he kind of went, as I went along, like a lot of his stuff became a lot more ambient. They went a lot more psychedelic. In fact, if you recall, I think one of the biggest things they kind of started doing is they started incorporating a lot more drums. In fact, I remember coming across one live show I think he did where it was basically like him with like 30 other people, but they all had like little drum sets, and it was actually pretty neat. Let me check on something for a brief moment. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, I had a couple of these potatoes kind of cooking in my oven. Yeah, I found these potatoes at Sprouts. Like I think it's called, I forgot what they're called, but they're these Japanese sweet potatoes. So they're like reddish, like purple on the outside, but they're yellow, but they're yellow on the inside. And I first found them at Whole Foods, and I honestly think they're sweeter than regular sweet potatoes because they're very sweet. They got a very nutty kind of aftertaste to them, but I really like it. I've only been able to find them like around this time of the year, like in like late fall, like early winter time. Yeah, I definitely like recommend them. Let me just kind of get his belt. You know, pretty soon with the holiday season now, like of course with the holidays, like there's these even Christmas specials that are gonna be coming out now. I know there's one. I know there's definitely one when it comes to Christmas specials. There's actually a few I definitely look forward to. You know, of course, you know how the Grinch Stole Christmas. That's one of my go-to ones. Are you gonna do any more Lupin third and then Meg's Life? You know what? Yes, I am considering doing more of that like in the near future. Yeah, for some reason when I did those like downloaded for it, some of it just really fit because you know like Yakko just seemed like a really great Lupin, Wacko seemed like a really great Jigen, and now I think I did some more Lupin skits. I don't think I ever posted in the Blue Sky just yet. But it's just where Dots as Fujiko, not as romantic, but also just as, you know, like an adversary and rival. And for Zenigata, like, I figured I couldn't decide if I wanted to have Dr. Scratchsniff or Ralph be the, like, the Zenigata of the dynamic. But I figured I'd just make them both, because I figured, you know, like, Scratch's got the brains, he's got the brains, but, you know, like, Ralph, he's got the determination, he's got the stamina. But yeah, I'm definitely planning on doing more of like that in the near future. Especially for those ones that were those fake screenshots for that Simpsons like anime crossover thing I did. And I think one thing I'm thinking of doing, I still need to get around to actually finishing that crossover fanfic I wrote, because like on top of making like those fake screenshots that I did indeed kind of start working on actual crossover fic for it. But I never got around to finishing it just yet. Because the only thing about with writing, like, it doesn't... Like, even though I feel I'm decent, like, I'm definitely a lot slower when it comes to, When it comes to writing, I am, you know, with drawing. Let me get his little wet feet. Let me get his little knees. So I know it's not complete... I know it's not completely accurate, but I just kind of want to keep everything very loose and very. I think I'll bring this out a bit more. There we go. The tagline: "Don't eat at Joe's." And one thing I might do in the let me see. One thing I do a few pictures. If I had to get inspiration doing more of the Anime X Lupin art, I'll definitely do on the stream. Because I mean, you know, actually, yes, I have. The closest I've really done as far as animation goes is like I've made like these little. I used to always make little flip books back in the past. So I was like kind of like little flip books, and I would actually like doodle in them. I would actually make my own like little flip book comics. They were a lot of fun, but as far as anything serious, I haven't done anything just yet. I know I've been meaning to get on to actually like really give it a shot and actually try it for real. But of course, you know, one thing I know about animation, it definitely takes a lot of time. Cause I know there are a few times like where I almost got like more like animatic. Cause one, I decided like one thing what I want to make an animatic of, but also actually take out the time to actually, you know, like really do it, actually plan it out. Because one thing I always forget anytime I try to actually, you know, even when I was doing flip books, is that you really do have to kind of like plan. A lot of times, at least for me, like you have to kind of plan things out when it comes to actually like animating. Because you want to make sure everything kind of flows properly. Okay, let me just kind of thicken up some of these lines a bit here. Then we got color in his nose. Yeah, but I definitely considering doing that. Before I have to decide what I'd want to what I would want to animate though, because I figured that maybe I'd do something like I would do something like Animaniacs related. I know one thing that's always kind of sparking information. Excuse me, not information. Inspiration. Something like the animes that I wouldn't mind like anime something to and some relation to like Rob Paulson's podcast Talking Tunes. For those who don't know, Rob Paulson, he had a podcast called yeah, cause I'm about to call this thing now. He had a podcast called Talking Tunes, and basically thing where he would kind of chat and kind of hang out with like various different voice actors that he knows, and he interviews them, and they're often very laid back. They're very fun. But one of the big things that he'll do at the very end is that usually like, they'll provide like little scripts where they'll both kind of get together and kind of go together and kind of act out characters of their own choice to like see their different scripts or different movies. Like probably my personal favorite was probably one where he had John DiMaggio. For those who don't know, he did Bender from Futurama, a lot of other different characters too. And what he did is that it reenacted one of the scenes from Space Odyssey 2000. You know, like Hal and the astronaut. You know, Rob Paulson kind of played himself as the astronaut, and Hal and DeJohn actually played Hal, but with Bender's voice, and it was so like really funny because scene plays out the same way, but just with their characters. Spec feature in Futurama, I've actually been in the process of slowly kind of rewatching like that old series, especially since now they got the new seasons up on Hulu. So the show's still just as good, if not better than it is now. Because I haven't really watched the show in years, and now that I got Hulu, I've been really kind of like giving it a rewatch. And normally I would have to play it in the background, but a lot of times, if I'm busy, especially if I'm doing art, I normally like to put on stuff I know it's going to kind of blend in the background and stuff that's not going to distract me too much. Because if I put something good that I like and I know that I enjoy, I'm going to be more focused on watching that, enjoying it, versus actually, actually try doing that and drawing. I'm gonna give this guy very even coat. One of the other things that kind of inspired me for as far as trying to give animation shots that really like animatics. I remember for a brief while when I was looking up how to do animatics, I came across a lot of like fan-made animatics. I think I'm a lot from Hamilton. Yeah, apparently there's like a whole bunch like Hamilton and like animatics out there. I think even one person actually compiled like a bunch of it together, so it pretty much covers the entire play. I've always wanted to draw like what you draw. Any tips how? One of the things I definitely recommend, like, always break things down into simple shapes. So a lot of like circles, like ovals, like pear shapes. When you break characters down to like really simple shapes like that, that can really make a big impact on how you construct your characters. And if I think I mentioned it earlier in the stream, but I definitely recommend getting animation by Preston Blair. I think he does a great job. I think probably better than I can as far as actually really breaking down characters on how to really draw characters, especially like breaking down simple shapes. Another thing I would recommend is that especially when you're sketching things out, always start very loose. Very light. And another thing I would recommend is that you try doing gesture drawings. And what gesture drawings are, basically they really help help if you're trying to draw people in different poses. Like, say for example, let's say if I were drawing someone that's, if I was drawing someone that's probably like maybe standing with their, let's think we'll have a different pose. Let's say if I'm drawing someone that's probably like doing like a yoga pose or something, and so basically with a few little poses that's possible, you see I'm using like very like simple shapes. And I'll use the arms, just for the legs. And the goal is with a gesture drawing is that you want to try to get the overall movement of the actual like pose itself, and you want to keep everything like very loose and very light. You're not really worried too much about proportions, because even though you can see proportions are kind of whack, but the whole thing is kind of get the overall movement of the actual like pose itself before you start refining it and actually start like fine tuning down the proportions. Because in doing so, once you get the overall gesture right, then what will happen is that your pose will be a lot more lively. Like, I know it's probably not the best example, but this will kind of give you an idea as far as like ideas, as far as like getting like very lively poses and keeping your drawings lively. You know, that, and of course, you know, like studying just the different cartoons you like. Like, I know, like, even before I got Preston Blair's book, I was always like drawing and watching like different cartoons I always liked. Of course, like Tex Avery stuff, you know, like Tom and Jerry stuff. In fact, I remember it's like someone I really got into drawing. Like, one of the things I used to always like drawing was Tom and Jerry, especially, you know, like if it was not the character itself, just their backgrounds though. They were always like so fun to draw. I think I'll use this apricot here. Just kind of go over some of the brown I laid down. And also, another I recommend, you'll just be impatient. Because I feel one thing that to some people who are starting out with drawing, they'll tend to get kind of discouraged or frustrated because it's not looking the way they want right away. But one thing about it we have to know is that, like, look, whenever you draw, like, don't be too worried about perfection. You know, not everything you make is gonna be fantastic. Not everything's gonna be great right off the bat, and that's totally fine. Because, you know, as we're drawing, we're constantly learning new things. We're constantly trying things out. And so always kind of really like kind of embrace that. Let's kind of color our pilgrim here. Let's see what other colors we can use as well. I know his pilgrim's right brown, so I might use a little orange for him though, so it's more of like a warmer brown. Oh, Russell! Yo, Preston, I'm glad to see you here. Yeah, I just got for a little while ago. I figured I'd do a quick little short stream before I turn in for the night. Hey, glad to run into you here too as well. Hey, really glad to run into you here. Yeah, I figured I'd do something short and quick before the night's out, since I won't be streaming for tomorrow. So let me kind of get in his nose while we're at it too. Yeah, it's really good to see you. By the way, for those who else was here, Russell, well, I call him Pressure. He's my cousin, so every now and then he comes in for my streams. So yeah, it's really good to see you. Yeah. First character I broke down was Wacko. My giant take interest from animes and Ascendants, but I never been to draw them how I like. Yeah, animes, they're really good to study. Mainly got like since their construction is really heavily influenced by like '30s like rubber hose cartoons. In fact, I would recommend kind of studying those more because like really like I think like when you study animated cartoons, like we look at those like cartoons from like the '30s and like '20s, like they're very simple. They are very like simple like circular like rubber hose shapes. Because of course these were made by like animators who were just figuring out how to do the genre, trying to figure out like how to make these characters move. And once they really got good at actually like really like kind of making these simple characters, then they can start building up on it as far as adding like better construction, adding more definition, adding muscle. Hey, glad you like the music in the background though. Hey, glad you like the music in the background though. I want to play something else a little more ambient. I think what is this? I got on YouTube. I think it's called Christmas Coffee House Ambience with relaxing Christmas jazz music. Yeah, I try to be very more conscious about what I play in the background. One, I don't want to be too distracting, but also I know like since I am streaming this on YouTube, you gotta be careful. Like that's not copywritten. And if I do, it depends. Like a lot of times, if it does turn out to be copyright, sometimes sometimes they'll give me a notice that'll say, like, hey, this is copyright, but they won't really flag. They won't flag and they'll allow you to do it. But also it helps, like, say for example, if I'm playing artists and if I actually a well-known musician, like usually I'll play like say like live performances rather than say like stuff that was probably like one of their studio albums. Let me just use some yellow here. Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube stuff, and also when it comes to channels on YouTube, because I tend to like have like music playing in the background, like I'm always finding like different live shows, like obscure albums. Because that's kind of been a thing now where like you even have like old, even obscure albums, like they were probably released maybe like once, probably years ago, and now they're making a huge splash like years later. I know one in particular that comes to mind. It's by this Japanese pianist like Ryo Fukui, and he has a few. I think he was like three. But back in the day, I think he released like one album called Scenery back in 1976. He released one. It was very fun. It was just him, I think two other guys, I think on bass and drums. It came out for a little while. It didn't make too much of a splash, but like recently, I think about a few years back, like someone uploaded on YouTube, and now it's become like a huge hit. And so what's the point now? I think he just recently like released like a brand new album like not too long, because now he's got this huge like following of folks who are just now, finding his stuff. And honestly, I think that's really beautiful. Like how like you have some artists that kind of struggle to kind of get a following like starting out, but now they have a bigger following like years later. But the funny thing, like, it kind of happens a lot more than you probably think. Because I know that was kind of happening with a lot of those, some blues and, like, doo-wop artists from back in the day. Because I think, and seems some old artists could be artists, too. Because I think about, Benny King's, Stand By Me. Because, it initially came out back in the 60s. But, and it was a moderate hit, back when it first came out originally. But I think it wasn't until, the actual movie, Stand By Me came out. And it was featured in that movie, and then it became a huge hit. I think a few others like doo-wop groups like from that era where they had their songs featured in movies that were very nostalgic or took place in that time period. They would be featured in those movies, and they'll become bigger hits like later on down the line. And even in some of those blues artists, some blues artists when they went more like more funky and more R&B, like they had like later stuff like Johnny Guitar Watson, like he was like a straight like blues guitarist, but then he went more. I think he started doing stuff in the 50s and 60s, but then around the 70s, then he started doing more like R&B and funk stuff, and then that stuff became a lot more commercially successful for him. So, it's interesting. Like sometimes when it comes to audience, you may find one like early on, and other times you may find one like later on too. Excuse me, let me check on something for a brief moment. I'll be right back. Alright, y'all, I'm back. What am I gonna draw next? Not really sure. Not really sure. I might do one more like quick sketch like after this of something else. I'm not really sure just yet, but it'll probably come to me once I'm finished up, with this right here. Kind of do these quick sketches. It's kind of a way of getting back to basics in a way because when I started doing live streams here on YouTube, like I actually did just like one, would do what I would do like maybe like 1 to 2 like sketch drawings where I do them on here on these Friday nights. And I think what I will do is add a little blue here too. The cutaway, I think I always add a little blue on the inside. Alright, cool. So that's our... Alright, so now that we got our bear here. So thanks. So at least that turned out well. So now, let's start on something else. So give me just one more while I get situated for the next one. Just if I try to light. And also a lot of times what I do is like even when I'm drawing like certain characters, especially fan art of characters, even when I study them, I'm not always too worried about trying to keep them on model or try to get them like their style. Like, cause there are some instances where I'll draw certain characters and I'm not really too concerned about keeping them on. In some cases, I'll style them so they're closer to my own style. Alright, let me see what else I will do. Let me see. So I'm gonna start with some more light sketches here. Since you mentioned Simpsons, I think maybe I will just do a Simpsons character. And in fact, since I'm doing Simpsons kids, I'm not gonna say who it is just yet. I think I'll let y'all see if you can figure out who it is as I'm drawing this guy out. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna be very light with the sketch as far as laying everything out. And I'll let y'all see if you can figure out who it is, like his before I'm done. So you can see I'm just being very light, very quick. And I try not to get too caught with details, because that's another big thing. You never want to get too caught with details like early on. Because early on, the only thing you should be concerned about is your construction, just getting overall gesture down, and really just kind of get the overall construction feel everything like before you really start committing to any like excess details. I'm not gonna say what his character is just yet. Some of you might be able to figure it out as I go further along, but let me get his little arm right here. But yeah, when I was starting out and doing these streams, I would always do on these Friday nights. Then I started doing them on like Saturday mornings. I'm constantly trying to move back to where I'm doing it both on Saturday nights and on Friday nights and Saturday mornings. And maybe he's probably holding another person here. And maybe this other guy has shaggy hair. Maybe this guy has a big collar. Let me bring that down a bit here. See, that's another thing when I start like, because I need to make adjustments, I can actually correct them. No, it's actually not Marge. But this character does have big hair like Marge. Let me get this person's ear. Let me get this other person's parts of hair as well. And so you can see this, I've actually been kind of on and off, kind of been re-watch on Disney Plus. In fact, funny enough, I'll admit, a lot of the episodes I've been watching for the very first time. That I'm currently going through season 3 for the first time. And it's one thing when you kind of watch a popular show that you hadn't really sat down and really watched for yourself, but the one that everyone knows. Yes, it is. It is Sideshow Bob. And as a regular, kind of based off that one episode from season 3, I think it was like Black Widow, where he ends up hooking up with Selma. It's a really good episode. And honestly, I'm still going through season 3 right now. I'm honestly really kind of because I know their style is kind of, well, not necessarily their style, but their overall look of shows kind of changed a bit throughout the years, mainly because there's different animators with different changes, taste, and style. But I definitely personally like how the show looks specifically through seasons 3 and 4, because while it still has that cartoony rough edge like seasons 1 and 2 have, it's a little more refined. It's a little more constructed compared to say later seasons like 6 and 5, when it became a lot more streamlined. Yeah, but I definitely like the show. But also I can see around the time I see why people like to rave about seasons 3 through 4, because that's when they really start hitting their stride. And what's interesting as far as I started really sitting down and watching, I actually started off with one of the more earlier, not early. I kind of altered between some of the early and new seasons. I saw season 1, and I saw the newest one. I think when new was season 34. Then I saw 2. Then I saw season 35. And I've been kind of alternating between switching on the old and new stuff. And it's not be a hot take. I personally think some of the newer episodes, well, yeah, they're not classic episodes. None of them are classic. I think they're not as disposable as a lot of people make them out to be. At least I don't think so. Like, it definitely has its moments. So let me get his little collar here. Let me get the busboy. I think it's Bond actually drawn a pretty good scene where Black Widow, where I think after he hooks up with someone, they actually go to like this nature after the like cabin retreat, and he's looking for a fireplace. And it turns out the place for that doesn't have a fireplace, and so he's actually cussing out the bellboy and asking for one. And at one point, he kind of like he regains his composure because he's on camera. He has him to smile for the camera. So it's like a small bit that I'm actually kind of recreating here. And here, like, I'm not really too worried about. Like I said before, I'm not really too worried about keeping it on model. I'm just more worried about keep making sure it's recognizable, make sure I get the likeness, and making sure that making sure the expressions are down pat. Let me see. Oh yeah, strapped to his hat. Let me see for a moment. I know I tend to say "let me see" a lot too, because even as I'm drawing, I'm constantly stepping back and thinking too. Because that's another thing you want to do. Even as you're drawing, sometimes you want to step in and see like what kind of moves you're gonna make next. Whether if you want to add a certain color, do you want to add a certain line here or there? Because even when I'm being very loose, I don't want to be too loose to the point where I'm not focused on what I'm doing. Speaking of special, but I think I hear they recently did another new special. I think it's a Treehouse of Horror special where it's solely about him. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's actually not bad. I think after I kind of finish working on this, yeah, that will be done. That will be done for tonight. Let me get his collar here. Alright, so let me just refine this a bit more. Oh, Dancers M Chica, hey, thank you. Hey, glad you dropped in for the stream. Hey, glad you've been liking the drawing so far. Alright, so let me go ahead and actually start fine-tune. Let me go and get his eyes. Yeah, I think from what I've seen so far of season 3, I think I really do like just the overall look of the show, because it's not, like I said before, it's not as streamlined as it would be like later on in the later seasons, even the Golden Age. Like, it still has that cartoony edge the earlier seasons had. And funny thing, one thing I didn't find out until just recently, I had no idea. Class Q-Po, for those who don't know, Class Q-Po, they were an animation that was more known for animating for Rugrats. And actually, with Clash Q-Po, before they made Rugrats, that means that they actually animated for The Simpsons. Like, that was one of their earliest gigs. But it's funny, it's like, when I see like some of those early seasons, it doesn't seem that obvious. A lot of times I find their signature style like kind of like creeping through, in some of their commercials. Cause I know like, in their early they did a lot of their commercials like for Butterfingers, and in those commercials, like their style really comes to it, mainly in how they draw teeth, how they draw mouths, how they draw their teeth, and it really comes through in those commercials, especially when they have a bigger budget. And it's just kind of crazy to think, because up until recently, I had no idea like this animation studio was behind two like big hit shows, that and Rugrats. Hang on for just a moment. I hate to keep dropping in and out like this. I'll be right back. Alright, back again. See, I can see, guys, I'm not too concerned about keeping them on model, but just want to keep them expressive. And I am kind of loosely working from like a screenshot too. I mean, even a screenshot's pretty expressive by itself already. I almost figured I didn't have to really change too much. I think it's like a space. I'll just put his name here, Dennis. Oh yeah, his little arms here. And I'll admit, even when I've drawn Simpsons characters, the problem is with Simpsons characters, I find like Simpsons characters like really fun to draw. That for those who kind of watch on Blue Sky and other stuff, that's why I can draw them a lot, because I just find them really fun to draw. I don't know what's about it. But I'll admit, even when I first started drawing them, like it took me a moment to really like nail down getting them to look right. Let me get his hair. And when we look at his hair, you think of the little different like, strands of hair as just like as one big palm tree, but instead of being like flaky leaves, they're basically very curly. You know what I'm gonna try whack. I'm gonna try again until I get it right. You go for it, man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you keep working at it and you keep studying, their designs, you'll definitely get it. I know you will, man. Yeah, definitely don't give up. Especially, if you really love doing it, you definitely don't give up on that. Let me just kind of picking up some of these outlines here. Because also when I'm drawing on my line work, I always try to keep my outer lines pretty thick and keep them thin in the middle, for a little bit of line variation. That's another thing I recommend, like if you're inking, try the very type of like line weight you have. You can have like thick lines, you can have like very thin lines. Yeah, definitely keep at it, man. And don't worry, I am gonna color this one in too as well. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys have been dropping in for the night. This is probably the busiest I've had to stream in a while, or this time of night. Because normally I would kind of like stream on, let's say, like on Saturday mornings. I figured and part of the reason I decided to kind of like do more streams on Saturday morning because I figured since I do cartoons, I figured Saturday mornings, Saturday morning, that's always been kind of like the thing for a while, like if you wake up, you go watch cartoons on Saturdays, whether it be Kids WB, whether it be PBS. I know it probably varies depending on like where you are, like what time you grew up in. One Saturday Morning by Disney. Alright, so now that we got main sketch, let's start coloring these two guys in. Give me just one moment. Start with some yellow here. Coming with a deep shade of yellow. And as I'm going over, I'm just being very, trying to be very light, but also trying to be very consistent, you know, as far as color. If I want to color these guys in. Get some of his buttons too. I might go a little brown on for the lapels and buttons on his uniform. Let me kind of bring his. Let me kind of make it smile a bit more. There we go. I kind of go over Bob here too, and of course, you know, for him, I'm gonna go over him just a little bit lighter because, of course, in the show, he has, you know, his skin's a lot more paler compared to the rest of the other Simpson characters. Be very light. Be very light. Just be very even as I'm coloring these guys in. Let me get his arm. But yeah, I'm definitely planning on doing more of these streams. So back here on Friday night, especially, you know, like, 'cause usually even when I get home from work, I'm still pretty jazzed. I still feel like drawing. So this is always good. Always really good. Let me color our bellboy here. Let me, of course, let me color him in. Because both of them have red. You know, he's got red suit. He's got red hair. Like a red palm tree. And I may or may not do a YouTube short for both of these two. Yeah, because most, if not all, the live streams I do, I always record. Now, one, either so I can look back on it, so I can see, you know, how. You know, can see how I do with these streams and see things I need to improve, but also, in case if I want to edit them down, if I'm using it for other videos, or mainly like for, like, my YouTube shorts. Like, I know, like, the recent, the Punk Jazz one, like, for those of you here for that one, like, while I was doing the stream for that one, I was also recording it as well, so, what I did with the editing system that I was using, you know, I was able to kind of speed up the footage to where I could speed up and made it very quick. So instead of, you know, this being like a 2-hour video like it was, because that's how long the video took. It was like not on the video, that's how long the actual drawing took. It was 2 hours. I was able to kind of get it edited down to where it was like 30 seconds. I might add a little bit of brown to Bob's hair, because I know with Sideshow Bob's hair, his hair is actually more of a dark red rather than a bright red. get his actually here. I'm just being very light, but I'm trying to be very even too. And a lot of times what does tend to happen, even as I draw, like sometimes when I won't get as chatty, because now I'm kind of like, not in the thinking stage, but I'm in the zone. Because I'll just get so into drawing stuff, I just kind of forget what else I was doing. In fact, let me go and sharpen this for a moment. It's kind of getting dull. I know I have my pencil sharpener here somewhere. Here we go, here we go. Okay, perfect. There we go. Also, one thing I recommend when you're coloring, especially coloring in, definitely kind of going from the side of the letter rather than going straight up. It won't wear down as much if you go from the side rather than from the top. Just another little tip I'll try to show you guys. Let me get his other two fronds here. And of course, this show, the voice cast, also, of course, Kelsey Grammer is always, good as Bob. And I probably wondered how long the show will keep going on, especially with the cast getting much older now. Because I know recently, I forgot her name, the woman who voiced Millhouse, she just retired like not too long ago. And so now, of course, you got the main guys. So of course, you got Beardsley Smith, like Nancy Cartwright, Bovic, Dan Castellaneta, all the others. They're all still in it. Let me see. Let me just get very easy. Just make it a bit darker. I think now I will do. Since I've done that, let me go and add some brown to kind of darken it up just a bit. Like I said, since he has more of like a dark brown hair, I'm just gonna go over some brown. Yeah, because once I'm finished calling these two in, that'll pretty much be it for tonight. And so one thing I definitely will do in the near future is like once I've actually start being more, because that's the thing with me, like I'm always bad at trying to like giving these announcements like early enough. I always tend to do them at the last minute. So I want to make sure I do a better job at actually kind of letting people know early on when I'm doing, these streams. Because I want you guys to be able to kind of enjoy these streams, because this is why I like to let you kind of draw, kind of relax. Because that's what it should be. Because, drawing should be a fun, like, relaxing process. Because I think it should be. I know this brown I'm using is kind of more, I think it's more like an olive. I think it's more like an olive brown, so it's kind of on the darker side of things. So, what I think I will do is, let me add a little orange to kind of, like, warm it back up. Or this tan, I can just use this instead. In fact, I probably could have used that. Probably could have used that instead. Oh well. Over his lapels. Of course, let me get his shirt while we're at it. Let me see if. Let me sharpen this for a moment. Hang on. Let me go over his shirt. Alright. Let me just add a few extra details here and there. I forgot he kind of has a chin that kind of juts out a bit here, so let me make sure I get that. Covered with flowers there. Might go. This might be a little too bright. I might go back over with some purple. Yeah, because we'll be winding down pretty soon enough. Yeah, in fact, let me go over this purple so I can actually. So it'll be a little more vivid. Alright. Let me get that on his shirt. And alright guys, I believe that is it for this one too. So these are our two section knives. So we got our Sideshow Bob and Dennis, our bellboy here. So we got him. And also we had our other bear, which we did earlier too. So guys, I hope you all really enjoyed like these two sketches I did tonight. I know tonight it ain't going a little longer than expected, but I appreciate all you that actually dropped in for the stream. So I do plan to be back again. I'll probably be back again probably around the same time, probably around 11:30 for another one of these streams. But guys, thank you very much for dropping in for tonight. I'll let you know I'll be streaming again. All of you have a wonderful night. Thank you.